Hey, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to make some really cute little snippets or layered embellishments, and these are things that you can use in your junk journals as just little decorative elements. You can put them on top of pockets for an easy decoration. You can do things like put them on library cards like this, or you can put them in Happy Mail to give to friends. I am just going to be focusing on making the little snippets today, and in a future video I will probably be taking these and implementing them into something like this, which is really just simple, but we'll do that together as well. So what I have on my desk is a bunch of scraps, tons of scraps. I have wallpaper scraps. I have some sewing pattern paper, which is really fun to use. Just grab different things that have different texture. You could even use things that are junk mail, honestly. I have some, I always forget what this is called, cheesecloth, die cuts. I have buttons, and I'll probably avoid using anything two-dimensional right now. But what else I have? Gold thread, which I always love using, and that's right. So we're just gonna get started, and I like to do an assembly line. If you've seen me make my layered embellishments before, this is going to be the same exact type of method. So I'm gonna start out by taking just this right here. This is some wallpaper, and I'm gonna tear it down like this. So for the ones we're gonna make to start off, I like to have some type of a paper base, and so that's going to be right here, and that's about a good size for me for what I'm using these for. I'm going to use most of these actually for my snippet roll, which I will be making in a little while for my patrons. So I thought it might be a little bit easier to make the actual snippets, and then when I go to make a snippet roll, I will just take these and plop them on with some other fabrics and such. I'll try to film that if I can, but I'm also going to make some of these also for library card decorations. I also have some handmade paper. It's really sturdy. I kind of like to use a sturdier paper for the base, but I guess I also like to use fabric and things like that. You could also cut up like a file folder. That would be perfect. This paper is super tough, so I'm just gonna lay out like around 10 of these because I kind of just like to work with a bunch of them all at once. I love this paper too because it's just kind of like fluffy on the edges, and so it's perfect. I do have some fabric too and some seam binding, but I don't know if I'll use that on these ones because I'm not sure. We'll see. Okay. So then I'm going to go ahead and do a second layer, and I'm just going to do my sewing pattern paper, and I will try to just tear off a big piece of it, and then I'm just going to basically tear it off, plop it on. I'm not going to be sewing these ones today because when I finalize them and put them onto either the library cards or my snippets, I will be sewing then, and I just kind of thought that I would go ahead and do that step all at once. So I'm just grabbing different pieces of this. This is a really good texture, but if you don't have sewing pattern paper, you can use vellum. You could, I mean, gosh, you can use like different packaging that you have. You can use tissue paper. That's another really great alternative. Something that you can get for really inexpensive, like at Dollar Tree. And it's kind of has a similar feel to it. You could use baking paper. You can really like think outside the box and use different things that you have around the house if you don't have this same thing, but you want kind of that same look. Okay, so then I think next, let's go ahead and I'll use a little bit of cheesecloth on a few of these. I'm just gonna lay down. Obviously they're all gonna be a little bit different, but I'm gonna do a few rounds of, you know, this assembly line, so each one I'll just do a little bit different. But either way, each one will still look quite different, even if we follow kind of the same rules. So I'm just trimming off a bit of this. I believe this, I got this from some Happy Mail. I think it was Mama Meg's who gave this to me. Hopefully I'm not wrong, but so I'm gonna use that there. I'm gonna take some of my seam binding as well. So I am using a little bit of fabric, I guess, but I just don't want to add too much because I'm going to be using some of these, you know, on my snippet rolls where I'll have lots of other fabrics layered on there. So I didn't want to do too much. This is super crinkly, so I'm going to just kind of lay it on and we'll flatten it out as we get to each one. I love that green color. And this is some seam binding that I made myself. Okay, just need 2 more. All right. I think I want to use some gold thread, but first of all, let's do kind of a paper layer. And I'm gonna do all of these a little bit different. So I'm just gonna add some type of a paper layer, or these ones stamps, because we're gonna add things on top of them. So some of them will get covered up and some of them won't. And I have this little box here that just has some of my favorite little die cuts or die cuts that I've been kind of wanting to use up. Stamps are really good for this. Little labels. It's a good way to just use things up. But if you don't have things like this, you can still use your, let's just see. Let me grab, this is just like a magazine paper. You could tear pieces out from books that you have. This one has like a little butterfly. So if you have any nature books or like whatever theme you are interested in, that works. This is kind of big, so I'm gonna kind of tear that in half, put that one there. This one is like much taller, but that's okay, just to show that you don't have to have the exact size or anything like that. And then let's go ahead and grab a stamp for the next one. Okay. Now I'm gonna take gold thread and I'm just gonna kind of wind it around my hand a couple times, and I'm just going to do this on a couple of them, or a few of them I should say. Okay, place that right there. I love the gold thread, but oh, that kind of came unwound. And we'll do one over here. Now you can tell I'm not using like glue or anything yet, but we will get these all together in just a moment. So I think at this stage I am just going to now pick each one up and kind of finalize by adding, I have these postage stamp stickers that I really wanted to add, so I'll add these to the ones that I didn't add like a stamp to. Oops. And the ones that have the stamps, then I'll probably use a die cut instead that has like maybe a butterfly or something different, just to kind of change it up a little bit. But so I'm going to take the backing off of these as well. Now if you're using stickers, and if your sticker's bigger than your snippet, you can either keep the backing on, or you can take your backing, or you can take your sticker, apply it to scrapbook paper and cut it out. But I would just leave the backing on personally. So I'm just gonna put that down like that. And that's already like a ton of layers. But let's do one of these that have like the little stamps. And we'll do a butterfly kind of over here. And since this one's not adhesive, I'm going to take my staple. Do one staple, or if you need to do more than one to hold everything on, you can do that as well. So let me take another stamp one with some of the seam binding. Let that off there. I also really like using labels. So I think for this one, I'll do a label, and then on top of that label, I'm also going to find something, maybe a word sticker or something to kind of finish that off. Ooh, I have an idea. Actually, a stamp would be great. So I'm going to use, this is some wooden stamps that I got from Amazon. So I'm gonna go ahead and just dip it in my ink here, the VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I'm just gonna try my best to do a stamp right on that label. Stamps are awesome to add to these. So you can see what that looks like with a little stamp. Super fun. I love that a lot, actually. I wish I had more labels, but I found a couple here, and I'm just gonna actually, these are kind of big, so I'm just gonna cut those in half. And I'm going to do that to a couple more here. And that gold thread fell off, but that's okay. You could do a bunch of stamping beforehand if that's what you're wanting to do. If you're wanting to add stamps. Sorry to reach over you guys like that. I'm gonna use one of a different stamp. I got basically this whole set of stamps from Amazon. Oh, I love that so much. That looks cool. Oh, you know what? I have an idea. Okay, so I'm thinking crud. I don't have a ton of labels, so let's take that to a different idea. And let's say we want to do that, but we don't have a lot of labels. Well, we can just tear apart some paper. And we'll do this one right here. And I'm going to grab another stamp. I'm just trying to use kind of all different ones. Dip that into my ink. One little tip on these wooden stamps, or probably any wooden stamp, it looks so much better to me when the edges don't show. So if you get ink on the edges here, I try to take the time, not always, but to wipe that off. So I'm gonna try my best here to stamp right down there. Love that. Oh, I'm so glad I grabbed the stamps out, because I'm feeling like that is kind of exactly what I was kind of going for. So whoops, everything's kind of falling apart here, but let's go ahead and just put that all back together. And go like that. Put 1, 2, and even like this, like to me that has a lot of layers. Let me get that to focus for you. But I'm feeling like, oh, it's kind of missing something. Maybe it needs some color, and so I could go in and add anything else that I want. But if you kind of see what I'm doing, I'll just continue going down the line doing what I'm doing all at once, and then I'll come back and finalize. But I just kind of wanted to show you what a difference like just adding some color can make. Okay, so these ones are done. That was done, that was done. Let's move on and do a couple more. And I'm probably gonna sit here and do these for a while, but I'll just finish up this little bit with you guys for right now. And then, like I said, I will try my hardest to film a second video. I'm just kind of crumbling up the gold thread. I'll do another video showing you what I plan to do with these, even though I sort of gave you an idea, but it's one thing to hear it than it is to see it. Okay, just kind of get that all in there. Some of these I might need multiple staples, but I gotta keep in mind that I will end up sewing some of these as well. And this one, like right now, even though I'm gonna do another round to add some finalized touches, I'm already like, this one like already needs something extra. And so here we go. We'll just add this little butterfly. And I could actually glue this on to avoid so many staples. There we go. And I love mixing like just all of these different elements that don't usually go together, but once it's all piled up together, it just looks so good to me. Okay. I'm gonna try to, I want you to really be able to see the seam binding, and so I want it to go right all the way across here, but still be a little bit crinkled up there. So for this one, let's try actually adding a little bit more seam binding. So while this can be a lengthy process, I think you can see that when you do it as kind of an assembly line, it can really save you some time. Okay, let's go ahead. See, I'm looking at all of the fun stamps that we have. And this is going to be a little too big, but let's just see what happens. There we go. That still works. And then just add that little die cut. It's a little nest with some bird eggs. I probably added way too many staples on this one. That's okay. So there's that one. Okay. Just kind of grab what I see next to me. These little pieces can be quite finicky. There we go. And sometimes it takes me, you know, a few minutes before I place everything exactly how I like it. I just dropped that one. I'm just going to try and finish off the rest of these, since I think you guys probably have a good idea of how I like to do this. Like I said, I have tons of videos on my channel of snippets and layered embellishments. So you can use just all kinds of different things. So I definitely hope that this gave you a good idea, and if you're someone who's probably seen a lot of my videos like this, then I hope it gave you some inspiration to just pull out your little bits and pieces, your scraps, because that's really all you need. But maybe even things that you haven't used in a while, like your stamps. Or, you know, there we go. Okay. And the funny thing is, I thought I was going to be, that's so funny. I was planning on using a ton of these sticker stamps, and then I don't know what happened. I just went through and everything happened so quick that I forgot. So let's add a few of these on then to just kind of finalize. I mean, looking at them, they already look pretty finished, so I don't know what happened there. But we'll add one right here, but then, darn. That's so funny. Nah, we'll add you here actually. No, that doesn't look right. Yeah, that's okay. We'll leave that. That's okay. No, just kidding. You know what? That's okay. It didn't go as I had planned because I like how these are all looking. So I'm going to keep these all how they are and call this done for this round. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed. This one can go right here actually. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will be talking to you guys later. Bye.